All right, well, hello, welcome again to the Dear Honey podcast. We're here in the same studio, just different, arrangements. But I'm so excited. It's a very special episode because this is actually the episode. How can I phrase it? This episode airs on March 10th. Our anniversary is on March 11th. So as of tomorrow, we will have been married for 5 whole years.
It don't feel like 5 years.
It does not feel like 5 years. It feels like it's been much longer than five.
That's not where I
That's
was
not
going.
where you. That's where I've gone. It's been way longer than 5 years. It feel like I've been married for 50 years. Good years, good 50 years, but 50 years nonetheless. So yeah, you excited about that?
Yeah. It'll be our last anniversary before the baby gets here.
We had 5 good years before we had any, well, not necessarily. We always had either Reggie or Maxwell. Yeah, so this will be the first year with the last year without an actual human baby. So which means eventually they'll start giving to us on these anniversaries. So if any of the kids watch this years later, know that we're expecting some very nice returns on our investments. But anyway, let's get past that. I'm excited for year 5. It's a great year. I think this is the first year where we haven't actually planned anything, and neither one of us is really that upset about not having big plans.
We normally travel for our anniversary.
I always try to do a cruise or take a road trip somewhere, get a hotel in the
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah, middle of nowhere. So yeah, this is the first one we'll be
Home.
at home doing nothing.
And
we may do something. We may do something. I don't want to just say we're not doing anything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't give up hope yet. We'll see. But it's been 5 great years. But with that being said, we got an episode to do to commemorate these 5 years. So, dear.
Yes, honey.
What is on our agenda for today?
So today, in honor of our anniversary, I thought that we could do a little Q&A. There's a really popular YouTube channel called Skin Deep. Shout out to Skin Deep. They have these questions for couples to answer, that just kind of make you think. They're kind of, some of them are deep questions, some of them are silly questions. So I figured we'd do a little Q&A today.
Okay. Well, beauty's only skin deep. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Beauty's only skin deep. Oh yeah.
That was on the Edibles album?
No, you possibly. You probably did the remix. That was one of my favorite songs by the Temptations. Okay, so I'm ready for the questions. Let's get right into it. I'm ready.
Okay.
Actually, no. I'm not even falling for the okie doke. You answer the first question. You know, fellas, that's lesson up. If you get nothing else from this podcast, all the brothers watching this, you never answer the question before they do. It's always a trap. Always.
So I'm gonna answer all these questions first?
Every last
no,
one.
No, we're gonna alternate. It's not a trap. They're good questions.
Okay.
So
go ahead. I'll be the judge of that.
First question, very simple. What are your top 3 memories of us?
Top 3 memories. That's a good question. Okay. Top 3 memories they actually are before we got married. One of them is, first memory I have is us. We used to go to the Christmas cantata when we were in high school, we got tickets to go to the Christmas cantata. We had the 1997 Ford Aerostar. That was such a magical vehicle. I missed that 1997 Ford Aerostar. We would go to the Fox Theater or wherever it was. So that's one of my favorite memories, going there as one of our first dates. The second favorite memory I have is, man, it's just so many to choose from. I can't really decide.
You want me to do my number 3 while you thinking?
Yeah, do your number 3, then come back to me.
Okay. My number 3, my third favorite memory of us would be, oh, this is kind of hard. Our very first date, we went to Applebee's, which was very simple, but that was the first time that we had hung out together before a lot, just the two of us, because we were best friends, but it was an intentional, let me spend romantic quality time with you. And I love Applebee's. I know that it's not a 5-star restaurant, but I love Applebee's. So that's my number 3, our very first date.
Okay. I guess my number 2 favorite memory would be second favorite memory would be our honeymoon. Right after the wedding, we had gone through all kinds of hell on the actual wedding day. Our car, we had the 2013 Chevrolet. It's amazing how I can pinpoint where I was in life by the car I drove. Had the 2013 Chevrolet Impala, and I bust the gas tank on a tree stump in the backyard. And we were scheduled to go out of town right after the wedding. So I didn't know how we were going to get there. By car, didn't know how we were going to get there. We had booked a hotel in Biloxi, Mississippi, because we were still in college, didn't have a lot. And we had no idea how we were going to pay for it. We were just going. And I think we got just enough in our wedding presents that we actually had enough to get there, enjoy the trip, do a few things, and come back.
And the car got fixed. Literally, we got the text message, we can come pick it up at the wedding. They was like, you can come pick it up.
Got fixed the night of the wedding. Of course, that actual wedding day was, that's a story in itself. I called your grandmother. I called her name that is very inappropriate, but I didn't know who she was. She was just staring at me out of the...
It was a frustrating day at first.
Frustrating day, yeah.
But it ended up nice. It was a beautiful disaster.
And we went to Biloxi, had a good time. We got to spend... We rode in our first Bentley together. Mm-hmm. We went to New Orleans while we were in Biloxi. I mean, it was just a great time just to enjoy. That was our first getaway as Mr. and Mrs. Perry. So there's just great memories in that. Great memories in that. So that's my number 2.
Okay. I can agree with that. My number 2, and it's not just an us thing, it was just a lot of fun. And then also because you were there, it made it extra special for me. So right before the pandemic happened, we went on a family cruise for Christmas.
I remember that. That was a good one.
And on this cruise, Ed entered the Hairy Man contest, which was absolutely hilarious. If you know Ed, if you don't know Ed, he is a character. And when I tell you, he showed out. So that was one. And then for the rest of the trip,
and I ended up tying first place with a special needs person, which obviously says something about my sanity if I do tie at first place. But
for the rest of the cruise, you were famous.
I won. I was famous. I was a celebrity on the cruise ship. I was known as Edwina. Yes, I was known as Edwina for various reasons that I do not want to disclose at this moment. But I won. We won. We got a champagne bottle, and it was something else they gave us.
A trophy.
Yeah, a trophy. Good time. That's a good one. All right. My number one memory of us is probably X-rated. And so all of our mothers and fathers and family that are watching this, cover your ears, log out, or come back, just skip this part. But it is definitely one of my just in general, my top life moments. Just to show how much I love this woman, I literally almost went to jail for this woman. My wife and I like to have picnics in the park and everything, and this particular day we had the picnic in the park, and we had a little it got hot and steamy.
Oh my God.
And I just remember this light just beamed through the car window. And the light just got close. It was like pitch black outside. We had been out there at the park all day. The light beams through the car. The light gets closer and closer. And I thought it was the rapture. I thought Jesus was coming back to take our souls. And there was a knock on the window. And it was a police officer. And I was stark naked.
Really? That's
the number one memory in my life. I always think about that. I was starting there, and the officer could have arrested us. He could have. But that officer said, you know what? I mean, he was just so in there. He said, you know what? Just get your stuff and leave. Just get out of here, man. Just go. And my license was obviously not on my person, so it wasn't like I could just pull it out. So he didn't ask if I did anything. He was just like, just get out, and he left. And I was like, well, thank God he's gone. Let's get back to business.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so that's my number one. I'll have to tell that story in detail one of these days, but
I can't believe that's
my
your top.
number one memory of us keeping it fun and spontaneous. When you're married and been together this long, you got to keep it spontaneous. You didn't think I was going to tell that, did you?
No, I did not. I did not.
I told you.
I should have answered first. Huh?
I told you.
My number one would be our second ultrasound.
I didn't have nothing about the baby.
Our second
one
ultrasound.
about how you almost got here.
Get you?
Oh.
That was the first time where like he didn't just look like a blob anymore. Like you can make out his head and arms and legs and stuff, and just seeing how excited you were, like as soon as it came on the screen, you was like, oh my God, it's a real baby. Like he got a head. And I just remember the lady, the little ultrasound tech, she was just laughing so hard. I was laughing so hard, but you just seeing your excitement about the baby. And the fact that he had arms and legs and a head, that was
I was excited because most of the ultrasounds just look like blobs. You can't really see anything. The last one they showed us, the baby looked like Jay-Z. So he
did not look like Jay-Z. He was sticking his tongue out, and Ed swears it's just his lips. But whatever.
If the baby ugly, I'm telling you right now, I ain't the daddy.
Okay. All right. Okay, so it's going to be one of those kind of episodes.
It's going to be a great episode. I told you got to prep me when you give me these questions.
You're on one tonight, I see.
I'm excited and I'm sleepy. So when I'm sleepy, I'm giving all the details. This is the raw and unedited. This is unsung, the Perrys. What's the next question? Hit me.
When did you realize that I loved you?
Okay, you gonna answer that one first?
Okay. So something about me that not many people know. I was bullied a lot growing up. I wore a lot of hand-me-down clothes. I didn't know how to do my hair. a bunch of different reasons. So I had very low self-esteem. And so for me, the moment that I knew that you loved me was one day I was like just having a pity party. Like, you know, as a woman, when your hair is not cooperating, you can't draw your eyebrows on right. Like, it's just not a good day. And so I just was having a little pity party, and you just forced me to look in the mirror and like make me tell myself that I'm beautiful. Tell me how much you think I'm beautiful. And just the fact that you took that time to, that wasn't the only instance, but once you realize like how in depth my insecurities ran, the leaps and bounds you went through to build my confidence, that's when I really knew that you loved me. I always say I fell in love with Ed because he loved me so much that it made me fall in love with me. Like, you know how somebody will like a food or like a song so much that it grows on you? That's how it was with me. You made me fall in love with myself.
That was deep. That was really, really deep. That was deep. I think that I knew that you loved me for real. I probably butchered the question. I guess it was the time that, well, that was when we were in high school. I don't know. I got the perfect one. All right, so my mom got very, very sick one time. She went into the hospital. And I'm, of course, the only child. Everybody knows that I'm the only child, so it was always just me and my mom. But you stepped in that day when she got sick, and at the time, I was staying in the hospital overnight, day in, day out, and I was just exhausted. I just wanted to go home and rest. And you came in and you were like, don't worry, I got Mother Dearest. I love her just as much as you do. Go home. And that was like really tough for me to like kind of separate and go home and get some rest. But seeing the dedication, and you did something,
child,
that I was not willing to do. You washed my mother's feet in the hospital.
If you do not know me, I hate feet.
You hate
feet. If you're over the age of 2, if you're over the age of 2, like I do not like feet. So for me to
hate feet,
get out. For me to, that was real love, man.
You did that. So to see how much you loved my mother and your love for me, for my mother to allow me to go and leave, that was the moment that I was like, man, she ain't just talking. She for real on that thing. So that's a moment that always reminds me just how much you love me. And not just me, but everything that comes with me. You love Maxwell, which was another huge part of my heart. Maxwell, rest in peace, Maxwell. My family. So just seeing how much you love those that are close to me, because as hard as this may seem, I am really very much so a huge person on family. I don't like a lot of people, contrary to popular belief. I would rather much be in home by myself alone. But those that I consider family, I love them dearly. And to see how much you embrace those people and those dogs in my life meant a lot. So that was the moment that I knew that you were for real.
Okay. That's a good one.
Wasn't as deep, though.
I think it was.
Okay. I'm going to take it.
Okay. All
Who
right.
winning so far?
It's not a competition.
Oh, okay.
But me.
Okay. We'll see. Keep on coming with it.
So, this one's a little bit more fun in theory. What is your biggest pet peeve when it comes to me?
Biggest pet peeve. Biggest pet peeve is you're messy.
I am.
You're a messy person by nature. That's my biggest pet peeve.
I can agree with that.
I'm not going to elaborate. I know you wouldn't want me to elaborate. That took enough for me to just say that because I can pay for what I would say. But I ain't doing it on our anniversary. So okay. You messy.
My biggest pet peeve when it comes to you, and I don't know another way to say this or a nicer, more polite way. So
you better tread lightly now. This the anniversary now.
My biggest pet peeve when it comes to you is that you can be a Captain Save-A-Ho. Ed thinks he's Superman and that he has to fix everybody's problems, or like he doesn't like seeing anybody in need or down in the dumps or remotely not good, and you oftentimes take on the burden of trying to fix everybody's problems, and that leaves you lacking. A lot of the time you get taken advantage, even though you don't feel like you're taken advantage of. I feel like a lot of people take advantage of the fact that you're Superman. Okay. I guess we're not gonna touch that. Next question.
Next question. I don't think I'm Captain Saver, whatever it may be. I just think I just really like to
help people.
That's what it's all about, helping people. Help one another. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world, a better place if you can. Oh, I'm about to preach up here. I'm going to leave it alone.
Okay. Why did you choose me to be your wife?
I chose you as my wife because I trust you with my life. Oh, so many times we can get caught up in this thing called life and we forget what it means to trust somebody with your life. That means if I'm incapacitated and there's nobody else around, you know me well enough to know what my wishes are. You know me well enough to know what my desires are. You know me well enough to keep my best interests at heart. You'll never do anything to harm me. And I always say this, it would never happen. But the fact that if it did go south, or this marriage just did not work out, I trust you and love you enough to know that I don't think you would do anything malicious to hurt me. I think even still, no matter what, at the end of it, you and I can genuinely always be friends.
Okay. Okay. I chose you or accepted you as my husband because...
Oh, you had to choose me too now.
I feel like... Okay. I chose you as my husband more than anything because you're my best friend. You're the first person I want to tell good news to, not so good news, no news. Like you are my person, in the words of Grey's Anatomy. And no matter where I am in life, you always make it greater. So if I'm like down in the dumps or something, like I can't be sad around you. Like it used to irritate me that I couldn't be angry or sad because he makes me laugh. And then even if I'm in a good mood, you somehow know how to make my mood greater. So I just feel like my life is greater with you in it.
Put the Mac attack down, huh?
Oh, that's the Mac attack.
The Mac attack. What do you say?
Okay, Mac attack.
Next question. What we got?
Next question. This one's a little sad.
Okay, we're gonna be sad. Sad face.
If this was to be our last conversation, What would you want to tell me?
This was the very last conversation that you and I ever had. I would make sure that you knew that I never liked your mother. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Mom? Mom?
No. I love all my moms. I love Mama P, Mama D. I love you guys dearly. It's just a joke. No, seriously, if this was the last conversation we had, man, that's just... Whew, that's a sad question. Who came up with that? What's going on in your life that you got to think of that? Last conversation I would have is with you is that remember you have a life insurance policy on me, so make sure you pay off the house. Make sure you pay off at least one of the cars, and whatever is left, you can put that onto the baby's investment, whether he want to go to college or school. And know that I love you, and know that whichever Negro you decide to get with after I'm gone, if I don't like him, I'm gonna hunt him. And I love you.
You gonna die like Coming to America?
Yeah, that's what I would do. That's the last thing I would say. Get life insurance if you're married. Don't leave your spouse with all those bills.
Okay. If this was our last conversation, I would want you to know that I believe in you. You have the talent, the capability to achieve your wildest dreams, especially when it comes to comedy and entertainment. You already know that I love you, so I don't think that I need to remind you that I love you. But more than anything, I would want to remind you that you have the power to achieve your dreams, and that I'll always be your biggest fan.
Even in death, huh?
Yup. And be in the front row.
It's gonna be creepy.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a little sad. What is my best quality?
Best quality. Best quality in Janicia Ariana.
Dang, you put my whole
Perry.
government out there like that.
You just have this uncanny ability to just care. You are just a very caring, just always got to give 110%. You always want to fix plates, and when people are sick, you always got to check temperatures, and you always got to know what's the best medicine, and you've always done the best research, and you know the best remedies, and you just dedicate your life to making people feel better. That's the number one quality, whether it be me or parents or babies or siblings or friends. You just always have been a caring. You put others before yourself. What a wonderful quality in a person.
It's interesting that you say that, because I would not consider myself a caring person. I think that I'm mean.
You'd be wrong. You are mean, but you still caring as well.
Okay. Your best quality is your ability to find comedy in everything. For example, story time. We went to Jackson, Mississippi one day. We drove all the way to Jackson, which is a 6.5 hour drive. The day before, you were supposed to speak at church. You were like the guest speaker at church, like the main speaker.
And church has about a good, at that time, we were expecting about a good 2,000 people on a Sunday.
We go to a mega church. But the day before, this Sunday, we decided to do a turnaround trip to go down to the Classic. As soon as we got off the exit, it starts pouring down raining. There is no parking at the stadium, so we had to go down the street and park at somebody's house and pay them to park in their driveway. We walk all the way to the stadium with one umbrella. It was like 6 of us with one umbrella. So all of the women were huddled up under the umbrella, and then the guys, y'all were just soaking wet. We get to the gate and they're like, oh no, you can't bring the umbrella in here, and everybody's purse is too big. Y'all got to go bring that back to the car. So then we had to go, well, the men walked all the way back to the car. We ended up buying some ponchos, but then because it was storming so bad, the game was delayed and they weren't letting anybody in anyway. One of the ladies who we were with had to use the bathroom. Cool. At this point, everybody's frustrated. It's raining. The game is delayed. We're supposed to be trying to make it back by, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning so that you can do your thing at church. So everybody is frustrated, irritated. We had to buy these expensive ponchos that are nothing but trash bags. And she goes to open the porta potty. And she's like, why is this door stuck? So she yanks it really hard, and it wasn't stuck. It was locked. Somebody was in there, but she pulled it anyway and opened it. And there was a man in there using the bathroom. So now her husband is fussing because she done walked in on this man in the porta potty. And the man in the porta potty is fussing because he done had the door busted in open on him. And she just confused. We're all angry. It wasn't funny at the time. But this one, when I tell you, he broke out into like the Joker laugh, like laughing gas, crying tears, about to pee on himself, laughing at the whole situation while everybody is upset, about to cry, frustrated, about to fight. You just laugh.
People hated my guts that day. Everybody on the trip was mad at me. We laugh at it now, but that was that was a funny day. It was
gonna be a funny story, but it wasn't gold. You know how stuff, it don't be funny at the time, but it'll be funny later. It was not funny in the moment.
It was funny in the moment. They could not get past it. But that was very funny, especially when she yanked the door open on the guy and he was sitting down doing this thing, and everybody in the stadium just look. It seemed like everybody stopped to look at this guy on the it was great, phenomenal, best day in my comedy life. It was just so magical, really. I'm glad you brought that story up.
Okay. What is your, if you haven't already said it, what is your kindest memory of me, or like what is the most kind thing that I've done for you?
We already gone over the mom in the hospital. We've already talked about have we talked about that? Okay, this is before we got married, but I remember I was extremely sick one day. We were in high school. I think my mom was sick at the time. I think we have talked about it. And I was just sick. And unfortunately for us, we hadn't gone grocery shopping. And I don't think at the time, either it wasn't enough gas in the car or something. It was just going to take a lot for us to get the food and everything. And I remember I was just talking with you on the phone, told you what was going on, and you caught buses. You had to catch buses to do everything, and you came in, you got Powerades and soups and everything, and you showed up on my front door with food for the entire, I think you even brought dog food for Maxwell. I don't know how you did it, but you just pulled up on the front doorstep with everything. In high school or early college, I think it was high school, and that was my most kindest memory of you. Stuck with me throughout all these years. So yeah, I can't remember if I already shared that on here or not.
Okay. My most kind memory of you was actually when my aunt was getting married. We already kind of talked about how my grandma had went into a coma for a little while, so after that she wasn't her normal self. She was bitter and angry oftentimes. But getting ready for my aunt's wedding, of course, I didn't have a car. But you know, she needed to get her hair and nails done and things like that. And I think I had night classes. So even if I did have a car, I wasn't able to take her. And she couldn't drive anymore after the coma. So you took her to her hair appointment. You took her to get her hair and nails done and sat and waited and just sat and chit-chatted with her. Or just in general, you've always been extremely kind to my grandma. But like, I don't know many men who would, one, I didn't have to ask you. You was just like, oh, I can take her. Like, I think I was just venting to you about all the stuff that we needed to do and feeling like stressed out. And you was just like, well, I can take her. Just let her know I'll be ready. You know, have her ready at this time or whatever. But she came home and Ed did this and Ed did that. And did you know Ed do this? And Ed picked out my nail color and just hearing her rant about how great you were to her, how kind you were to her. Like you never, my grandma at that time could be a lot. But you, even when she started to get rowdy and stuff like that, you have a lot of patience to calm her down and, you know, just make it a great day for her. And the fact that I didn't even have to ask, the fact that you just volunteered. And most men don't even like to do that with a woman, go and get their hair and nails done and sit in the hair salon or the nail salon. But you volunteered to do it for my cantankerous grandma graciously. And it seemed like you were happy to do it, even after all of her little episodes and things like that.
I do not remember any of that. I don't know what you're talking about right now. That's the God's honest truth.
Are you serious?
I do not recall any of that.
We was getting ready for their wedding. Wow. I don't remember getting on the bus to bring you food.
Do not remember that, but rest in heaven forever, Janice. I don't know. I just always had a soft spot for grandmothers because my grandmother was my favorite lady in my life before she passed. So, but I don't remember that.
You have always been sweet with my grandma. Okay, fun story. When Ed first met my grandma, even before the coma, we tend to talk a lot. The rest of the family, when she gets on one of her rants or something, we just kind of one by one leave the room. So because she can talk for hours for real, but you would just always stay. And it wasn't until like a year into us dating that we figured out you didn't understand nothing that she was saying. Like you felt like she had this super thick, my family's from New Orleans, so you felt like she had this super thick accent. And you came over one day for a barbecue or something, and she said, Ed, do you want some red beans and rice? And you said, nah, I don't know no Keisha. And we was all like, what? But then she asked you if you wanted red beans and rice, and you was like, I don't know what she be saying. But you had spent so many hours just sitting and listening to her. The fact that you never understood anything that she was saying.
That I do remember. I do remember that moment. I remember sitting in the living room talking with her. That's a great Janice memory. I do remember that one. But I think right before she passed, I was able to start understanding what she was saying. So we did make it past that hurdle. But yeah, I mean, I had no idea what she was saying. Some people don't understand what the hell I'm saying. I'm so southern and country, you don't know what I'm saying. But it's okay. Eventually, the more you sit and listen and watch this show, you will understand the southern dialect. I don't know what her dialect was. Janice didn't have a southern dialect. That I can understand. She had kind of like a scat. She was like a jazz singer to me. She just could just scat when she talked.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's it for my questions. You have anything?
Have I told you I loved you in these 5 years?
You've told me, you've shown me. Yeah.
And you know, there are many ways to say I love you. There are many ways to say I care about you. Many ways, many ways to say I love you.
I feel like if I wasn't certain of your love for me before, this pregnancy has really exposed the extent of a man that you are. Like I keep saying on social media, like a lot of women say, like they never forget how a man treats them while they're pregnant. And I was spoiled before, I'm not gonna lie to you, but the way that you have supported me, handled me through this pregnancy is more than I could have ever asked for.
You gonna cry about it?
I might. It's the hormones. It's the hormones.
We got her to cry on camera, but when you make somebody cry in an interview, you done made it.
Okay. It's the hormones. But I really am grateful to have... I can't stand you. To have you. Anyway. Speaking of the pregnancy, I figured we might end this episode with a sneak peek of our maternity shoot. What you think?
Let's show it to them. I think we should show it to. Oh, and seriously though, we haven't forgot. That's actually what we're gonna be doing this anniversary weekend. We're gonna be playing pregnant.
You gonna be playing pregnant. I'm actually pregnant.
I'm gonna be playing pregnant this weekend, so we're gonna follow through on our promise. Yeah, I think that's it. So let's show them. I think we should do a montage of the 5 years together in this marriage, which so many of you guys have been a part of. We thank you guys for all the wisdom, all the input, all the love, all the encouragement. This 5 years is amazing. We got another 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. I love you, dear. I appreciate you. This has been a wonderful marriage. I don't think I could have married anybody else greater in this world than you. I mean, you are just the best one for me. So anyway, we love you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Dear Honey Podcast. Happy anniversary to us. 5 wonderful years of marriage. 10 wonderful years of being together. And about 1 month away from being in the next phase of our life. So we love you guys. Thank you so much. And happy anniversary.
If I traveled all around the world, I know what I would find. Someone half as smart, someone half as sweet, half as lovely and half as kind. If I was the ruler of a kingdom with a house of wives to choose, 'twouldn't even quite compare to what I've got right here with you. So if I stumble just a bit, trying to say what's on my mind, please excuse me, 'cause I never felt the way that I feel inside. It's possible I may have finally found my dream come true. There could never be another you. The stars are bright.